Welcome to another episode of the Empowerment Platform, where our mission is to empower you to reach your goals, whatever they may be. I'm joined as always by our other host, Mr. Corey C.
We blessed. I just so happen to work hard.
Right now. If there's something in your life that you want to change, commit today and stop wasting
Get 1%
time.
better every single day and do something positive.
We want you to go out and get it. If you don't live by nothing else, live by 2 R's. You either got reasons or you got results. Choose which one you have in your life today. Good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Empowerment Platform, where our mission is to empower you to reach your goals. I'm joined as always by my co-host, Mr. Corey C. Corey, how's it going today?
Oh man, it's all good. Another blessed day. A phenomenal person that we have on today. Something that I've really been waiting for people to hear about, or hear from, I should say, because it's a topic that I struggled with as a kid, man. But man, I weathered these Houston streets with the snow. I made it. Had a good fireplace going. You know what I'm saying? Lost power for a little bit, but I'm good. I'm back.
You was over there with that blanket on, all wrapped up in front of the fireplace with your cocoa. I see.
Oh yeah, I got that. Look, I got a Keurig for the cocoa.
Oh, no doubt.
I don't even drink coffee.
We want to welcome our special guest, and like Corey said, man, Corey talked about this. We both had our challenges growing up without that father figure in our lives. My father was in prison while I was growing up. And so when he got out, we didn't have a whole lot of relationship in the beginning. And there's just an importance that I place on being a father. And I don't know anyone else better to speak on this subject but our brother, Shon Hart. How's it going, Shon?
Yo, it's good, man. It's good, man. I appreciate you guys having me on here, man. I'm excited, bro. Like, this is what's up, man. I've been checking you guys out for a minute.
Absolutely. And I don't like reading off bios. It don't do it justice. So, Shon, tell us a little bit about who you are, where you come from, what you've been through. Who is Shon Hart to the people?
Oh, man. See, you gonna start off like that. Like, who is Shon Hart?
Like, who is this?
Y'all get right into it. Your people like, yo, who's that bald head dude that you got on your show, man? But nah, man, this is the thing, man. Like, some years back, bro, I went and I lost a business, right? Like, I lost my business some years back. And, and this is after me not making it to the pros, because I thought I was going to go pro playing football, right? But I didn't make it. But I had to take care of my family. Right. I had to take care of my family, man. And I wind up going to work in the prison. And working in the prison is where I discovered who I was. Right. Like, for real, didn't want to work a regular 9 to 5. And I had some issues, personal issues. And I went grudgingly. And as I was going, I just said, well, if I have to go and work at this prison, I'm going to convert all these jokers. I don't care what your faith is. I'm converting all you jokers. But I found out real quick, Corey, that I really wasn't sent there for them. I was sent there for me. And that's when I really found who Shon Hart was, right? Like, at the time I was a broken boy, bro. Had a man body, but I was broken because of father issues and not making it to the pros and not reaching the level of success that I wanted to reach. So it was rough, right? But I found myself in the prison, man, and I'll unpack this as we talk today. But that's where I found myself. And when I found myself, man, I discovered that I was full of purpose, man, and I was called to serve men, right? I was called to restore families. I was called to bring restoration to a community of people, man, who are hurting, and specifically fatherlessness, man. So that's what I do, man. Who I am. I am called. I am commissioned, to restore broken families, man. That's what I do, man. So Shon Hart, in a nutshell, man, is called to restore broken families, help broken men to become healthy and whole, man. And we'll tap into all the things that I do. But yeah, that's where, you know, I found who I was and how I found out who I was. So yeah, man.
Tyrus, don't put that on the note, because we got to come back to that. Something he said. He said, I was sent there for me, not for them. Now, look, because we talked about this before, Shon, there's a lot of times where we don't realize the places that we've been actually molded us into who we are. We just kind of live in a spot and say, oh, man, this is just a job. Like, I'm just here just working or whatnot. But go ahead, Tyrus, take it away.
So once you figured out your purpose, once you figured out, you know, this was meant for me, you found identity there, if that's a correct way of putting it, and you found purpose. What was next? Did you immediately just jump out to helping men and doing your thing with that, or what was that stage of
Nah,
growth?
bro. Nah. That's the problem with people, right? We get excited, we get stuff, we meet a fine woman, and the first thing, if you wasn't trained, right, to learn how to court a young lady, which you do, is try to get into bed the first night. Ask me how I know, right? You know, I mean, just keeping it 100, right? Like, ask me how I know. You know, I mean, but it wasn't until I started learning more. So when you ask that question, is like, yo, all right, you found this out. Like, did you just get busy? No. What I did, I stayed working on me. And because I knew, Tyrus, I knew that if I was to go down this journey and this path, bro, I wasn't healthy enough to help those that I was called to serve. It was just exciting to find out that I found what my assignment was. I didn't know what it looked like, didn't know what it was going to be like. It just gave me a great awakening that I knew something out there was greater than football, that there was something greater on the inside of me, right? That was calling me to something. Didn't know what it looked like, didn't know what it was going to be. I just started working on me. And it was a prisoner by the name of David Kaiser, a white dude, man, who's in prison as we speak, who's in there for life. And this brother helped me discover who I was, man. Right? He put pressure on me, right? He challenged me. And it was uncomfortable, right? You know, it was in those private moments when he and I would be in my office when we were talking about, you know, random conversations, but it will always come back to me to challenge me, because I will go out to the yard and I will call all these prisoners to come to a program that I started in the prison, man, called Man to Man. We went from like having just about 10 Christians in the class a week to about 300 and something prisoners, man, coming to the sessions, man. They had to change some of the scheduling because so many men wanted to come to the program. I'm talking about Muslims. I'm talking about Moors and Catholics and Wiccans. I just started doing the work, man, but at the same time, I was working on me. So no, I didn't just jump out there and start doing it. I was working with the men in the prison while I was broken, trying to become healed, man.
Wow. Wow. And I don't want to skate past that moment of still working on yourself before you jumped out on the assignment, because like you said, when we get excited, we all in, but then we're not ready or equipped. That might be the better way to say it, not equipped to deliver the value that we're so energetic about trying to deliver. The question is now, because a lot of people are in this situation, but they're not working on themselves. What gave you the mindset or the mentality, or how did you even know you needed to further work on yourself? What was going through your mind during that period?
Yeah, because I hate it. I not hate it. That's a strong word, right? I dislike frauds. And I was a fraud for so many years. I was experiencing a level of success through my athleticism, right? Like people were singing me praises, right? Because I was blessed and gifted with that ability to play football. Got me through college, gave me a free, free education at Michigan State University. Right. But behind that, but off the field, bro, I was broken, and I was using women as a scapegoat or whatever the case to fill that void. right? You know what I mean? And I experienced a level of success. So I never, like, as I started growing, I got away from wanting to prove stuff to Tyus and, to Tyrus and Corey. I said, I don't have to prove, because, early on, bro, I was a hater. Like I was a hater, like real talk. And nobody knew I was going to hate on you publicly. Like, that's whack. But on the inside, bro, like anybody who was young, that looked like me, that was excelling, I justified. And I'm like, yo, he sell dope, or his parents got it for him. Like, they wasn't hustling. So I was hating on him on the inside. So I can never celebrate other people's victory. Like, I'll high five them, or, give them a fist pound, or, sometime even avoid it. But it was killing me. And I'm like, yo, you can't go to this next level. You can't help people, bro, until you start dealing with you. So it was me not wanting to be a fraud. I didn't want to be a public success, but a private failure. So I started, like, on purpose. It was just like when I was struggling with pornography and, things back in the day, man, I used to go to church. I used to feel convicted to raise my hands in worship, because I'm like, yo, you just got done. So I never wanted to go out in the community and put in work, and I wasn't going to work on me. So that was the thing, Tyrus. I didn't want to be a fraud, bro, because I was a fraud for a long time, man, in silence.
Wow. That's a lot to unpack, because I think that self-awareness wise, a lot of us are living fraudulent lives. We say one thing for the external, but internally we're doing another thing. And even down to the basic principles of saying that I want X, Y, or Z, and not doing the things that's necessary to obtain.
Yeah.
So we all could be frauds in some type of way, but self-awareness and authenticity helps us to graduate from that and move forward. Corey, I know that you have the football background. I know that you had the same, hey, I'm going pro at one period in time. Talk to us a little bit about, Corey. How does it resonate to hear Shon talk about going through that same kind of period that you did?
Yeah, I'm like, man, we've been living the same life. Like, and I was about to say, like, I think it might just be an athlete thing, or like let me just say, not elite, because I feel like elite is like the NFL or like the Pro Bowl.
Yep.
But like the above average athlete who actually made it to like beyond high school or whatnot. Like, so something you said was, I feel like I was a hater, and I used to do the same thing. Like, I went to the University of Houston. I stepped on a campus, and man, like, people would talk about where they came from or whatever, and it sounded like you didn't even do it in public. Like, I was just flat out like, so you had both parents? Oh, I see why you got here. Or like, I remember talking to one of my roommates one time and was like, bro, you really didn't, like, you talking about how you got it out the mud, but you didn't really get it out the mud. Like, and so I said, I remember a story. I said, you ever lived in a house with 4 rooms in it? And he was like, I lived in a house with 3 bedrooms before. And I was like, oh, he doesn't get it. Like, there was 4 total rooms in this house that I live in.
Yeah.
But it's stuff like that it's like, I wasn't saying it to be like, oh, let's just have a healthy discussion about where we came from. It was for me to assert myself, to say, I had it harder than you and I still made it here.
Yep.
And it's like, now living in Houston, I then realized how much I did not have it from there. But at the same time, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with having 2 parents in the household? What's wrong with having things as you grow up? What's wrong with going on vacation as a regular thing in your life? Like, as I was younger, I'm like, well, no wonder you're successful. I never had it, and I still made it here. But it was the justification for me, to say, like, I've made it. But so, and I was gonna say that, and I'm glad you said you played for Michigan State, because I saw the helmet on one of your posts one time. Before we get into that, what position?
I was a DB, man. I was
okay. I was a linebacker.
I was a slot receiver. Did very well in high school. Got to college, saw how fast those balls come, and how hard they throw it. Yeah, my hand wasn't built for that, so I went over to DB.
Now, one thing I will say though is, a lot of people, and I said this on our Saturday live for Launch, Leverage, and Lead. Like, I said, a lot of being in business and understanding business and creating a business, to me, that's more the hot topic. Tyrus, he had to get me for this right now, because I flat out said, well, look, man, I used to sell my body. And he was like, wait, what? But in reality, that's what it was like, see, in business, our minds will never really go unless we catch Alzheimer's or something like that. We can continue to expand our mind. But like you said, man, my hands weren't built for it or whatever. And I'm sure you were still pretty good because you made it there.
Yeah.
But it's just that the exchange of the deterioration of physical for the when I really could be doing the same thing being mental. And in especially in the Black community, it's go pro, be an athlete, basketball, football, whatever it is, for us to become this figure and then take care of the family. When in reality, we should be saying create business, create product systems, impact people outside of just sports as an entertainment system. And then really flourish from there. And then you'll never have to worry. I was telling Tyrus, man, I think my shoulders might be 70-year-old right now. I'm 30 years old right now. They're probably a good 70. I got acupuncture one time on this right shoulder because like it would come here and I was like, oh, I could feel it clicking. And then I got acupuncture and I was like, I can raise it all the way up now. But you know, that's the exchange that we have. But I'm gonna get off my high horse. Go ahead. But I was like, we live the same life.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. Yeah, I mean, but this is the thing, man. You know, I don't care where you go, what athlete, we could have the same conversation because some people who doesn't have that background, they don't understand, because one of the hardest transitions for me when I played to going to work in a regular job, it was like, yo, I'm not one of them. Right. Because you're in this bubble all these years of playing sports and you excelling. So now it's like, I have to be normal. That's what we call it. Like you're normal now. And I didn't know how to be normal. Right. Because I was always, you know, competing and always excelling. And that was a struggle, that balance, and then not making it on top of me having father issues, bro. Like I tell people this story, man. I remember early on when some of my issues was birthed, and it was by me playing. It was when I was playing a video game, bro. A video game, right? I was about to lose a video game with my boy, and I remember it like it was yesterday that he was about to beat me in the game called Tecmo Bowl. Like I used to always smash him, but he was about to beat me, and I didn't want to lose. But what I wound up doing, bro, I got up from my seat and hit the reset button. I'm like, bro, you
could let it happen.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So I'm like, no, we can't do that. But what I didn't realize is that I was setting up a pattern. That every time things got difficult, bro, I would hit the reset. So it was even in my football career, when things got difficult, Coach Saban came in, changed some things around, and instead of me responding the way that I know I should have responded, I hit the reset button. And so for years, it was a challenge for me, coupled with my daddy issues. So when I went to the prison, that's where I had to deal with all of it, bro. That's where InvolvedDad was birthed. That's where Shon Hart was birthed. That's when my wife found a new husband. That's when my kids got a new dad, because I said, listen, I'm not coming out of this cave until I come out healthy and whole.
Wow. Yeah. And that's the perfect. You got something, Corey, before I segue in?
Yes. No, I was going to say, so with you talking about that, there's something that I love that you say all the time, is you say you have to follow the assignment.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I remember reposting it one day, and I was like, that hit, because as I found myself, I said, what is my assignment?
Come on, man.
And going back to football, I said, man, like I was cool. I wasn't like, so here's the thing. I'm 6 foot. I played at 235, right? I ran a 4.6. That was cool in college.
Yep.
In that time, and I don't know how old you are, Sean, but in that time, because I know Tyrus is older than me, 6 foot, 235, 2010, 2012, which is when I would have probably gotten drafted, too small. I remember going to LSU camp to go to college, and they were like, we love the feet. We love the speed. You can move. You can get in and out of the cuts. Too small. You're not going to hold up in the SEC. Snap back now. I'm like, shoot, I should have played today, because 6 foot, 235. Now, granted, I'd have probably had to run a 4.4. But the issue was I I had to look into that and say, okay, football taught me a whole bunch of stuff, but what did it teach me about what I need to do? And it kept resonating back to me. And I was like, you know what? Just as you talked about with the jail, even I'm sure there's stuff you even learned through there too. And I know Tyrus played a little football in his time too, but when you think about the things that start to push forward from you, I was like, man, high school, captain of football team, people look up to me. People got better around me. That's why I love LeBron so much, not football, but everybody gets better around him. I had people, and it wasn't even about football. I had people like texting me when I was in college. Oh, what's it like? Can I go to college? Should I go to college? Even if I can't play football, what should I do? And I started saying, man, why are you looking up to me like this? For me to try to direct your life and tell you what to do. I'm like, man, I'm like 18, 19 years old. I can't tell you what to do. But as I got older, and then I got into leadership positions, and then I got into corporate America, I was like, you know what? There is something to this, because you might be 40, 50 years old, and I'm still dropping knowledge on you. And you're like, you changed my life right there. And so when you said the assignment, I was like, man, that's it. I just had to go through certain things to figure out what that assignment is.
Yes, sir.
But I want to help people out, because since that's your thing, how do people find the assignment? How do they, in the midst of the murky and the mud and everything that's going around, how do you find the assignment?
Man, that's a great question, man. And, you know, this is my answer to everybody, man, when they ask me, yo, how do I find my assignment? What am I called to do? This is the thing, bro. I wish I can tell you that there is a blueprint or there's a step-by-step way. People are selling courses and programs and all that type of stuff to help people find their assignment. I won't do it. Know why? Because it's going to cost you something. What it costs me to discover my assignment, bruh, I don't want you to have to go through what I went through. So if I literally tell you how to find your assignment, I will tell you that you will have to have marital problems. I will have to tell you that your mother is going to die. I will have to tell you that you will have to have some challenges, some legal challenges. I'm gonna have to tell you that you may file bankruptcy, because it was in those moments that helped me discover what my assignment was. Because I have father issues, so it was in the midst of me getting healthy and whole from that is where I found it. So people who want to know the assignment, the number one thing is, man, is that it's not around the corner. It's within you. It starts with you discovering, like, first of all, like what is those things that what am I running from? Like for real, what am I running from? Like, because we can go on social media, we could post all these beautiful pictures. Listen, man, I was posting a whole lot of stuff some years ago with me and my wife, the whole nine, but people didn't know that I was having challenges in my marriage. So I was a public success. But wifey, like, yo, I need some things to shift and change. So you really didn't want that work. My thing is, bro, is that stop watching people highlight reel on social media and start getting to work. You shouldn't be spending 24 hours and 80 hours on that new platform. What's the new platform?
Just call it, Sean. Just say it for both of us. Clubhouse.
Clubhouse. There you go.
Say it again.
Bro, like, listen, how much work can you be putting in, bro? And you spending like thousands of hours on Clubhouse. I can see you tap in and get some knowledge and be out. But bro, you need to be chasing your assignment. Like every day, I need to be pursuing my assignment, not bread.
Ooh,
people are chasing bread, man, and that's why it's not working, because you chasing money. Money is fluid. Money is the way. It's currency. It keeps moving. So if I keep chasing money, bro, I'm going to have to keep on moving. I'm gonna get tired. But if I chase my assignment, I stay right here. Money will come to me. I will attract it. Why? Because the bread is wrapped in the assignment. So I get opportunities to be on people platform like yours, like yourself, because I'm chasing my assignment.
Man, I'm about to pass a collection plate.
I'm just saying, but that's where
Somebody
it's
dropped
at.
the
That's
cash
where
app.
it's at, man. Like people get caught up in all of that stuff, man. It's whack, bruh. And I can speak emphatic this way. Why? Because that was me, and I'm coming from a place of love. I live this thing, bruh. I'm telling you, my family, we did better during the pandemic prior to. We doing better than when I was working a regular 9 to 5, and I did really well in my job. But it wasn't until I started chasing my assignment. Not trying to be ET, not trying to be Les Brand, to be the best motivational speaker. That's not mine. I can motivate. I can empower you. But my assignment is men. My assignment is empowering, creating strong families through fatherhood engagement. Hands down.
Wow. I can't even segue to where I want to go because I got to unpack that piece right there. You mentioned ET. We know that you went through the program. Talk to us about that. You've been on stages. Talk to us about the realization from, or did you ever think that that was supposed to be you, and then you realize that that wasn't the assignment?
Yep. So I desired it, but it didn't happen until I started focusing on what I have to go back until I started focusing on my assignment, because it was my gift that really made room for me. Because because if I come into your space trying to do what you do, bruh, I'm not gonna do it as well as you. I remember one of my first messages that I preached, bruh, and it was a TD Jakes message. I went back and I took all the notes. I heard them. I was like, ooh, I'm gonna use that.
Yeah.
And that night, man, I went and I preached at my church, that I was attending at the time, bro. And TD Jakes, one of his statements that he said, and he got a big reaction from the people. And I'm like, oh, I gotta use that. And what he said was that people will always come to him and say, hey, lay hands on me because I want more anointing. And he said to them, okay, come on up. And he started laying hands on them and saying, I hope you lose a house. I hope you lose a car. I hope you lose your job. Like going through all of these bad things. And the people like, no, I don't want it. So here, me early on in my ministry, I get up and I preach that same message, bro. Got a reaction out of the people, but it wasn't like TD Jakes.
Right.
Know why? Because at that time, I didn't pay a price. I didn't know what it mean to have bankruptcy. I didn't know what it mean to go through. I was fresh out of college, bro. I didn't know what it meant to suffer. But it wasn't until I had my own experience where I'm like, oh, that's what he's talking about. So now I'm like, bro, I'm not chasing nothing else but my assignment.
You know what that sounds like, Tyrus? Shon, there's something we say on here all the time that folks, so they'll look at you, they'll look at myself, they'll look at Tyrus right now, they'll be like, oh man, they're on this podcast, they have these nice things, they got messages, they're helping people out. They'd be like, you know what, they're just so blessed. But what the issue is, they don't realize how much work you've done to get there.
Yes, man.
And so it's almost discrediting, because I believe in God, I believe in a higher power who like there is something in the works that help move us.
Yep.
But it's almost discrediting to who you are as a person when people say, oh, you're just blessed. You're just so blessed to be there. And I'm like, but you ain't see what it took to get here. You didn't see that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, bro. When I went through Game Changers, man, and that was one of the things that you got to understand, man, I was already preaching. I was already speaking when I went to Game Changers. Yeah, man, my struggle was like, yo, why do I have to give them some money, for me to become a better speaker? Right? Like, why, bro? Like, yo. But I realized it's like, yo, I chopped it up with E, and he just like, yo, I guarantee you be blessed behind it. But what I wanted prior to that, I wanted stuff for free.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you talking.
But it wasn't until I invested in myself and my wife supported the investment.
Oh.
Supported the investment. And when she said, all right, go get it, bruh, for a whole year, when I was in the program, I didn't post anything. I wasn't out promoting anything. I became a student. And when I was in it, bruh, like, yo, I got cussed out by CJ, the whole nine.
That sound about right.
You know what I mean? Like, bro, I'm getting it in. I'm doing good outside of that. But like, he cussed me out the whole nine. And I'm just like, yo, you know what? I'm quitting this. Like, I don't have to take this. But that was a part of that reset. I'm like, no, you were gonna learn how to finish. And what I did, man, I finished the program. It was one of the greatest investments that I've made, man. They helped me learn how to speak, but more importantly, they taught me how to establish the business and help me hone in my lane. And when I started doing that, you go back to when you had mentioned about being on stage with E and all of that. And I was getting to it happened because I started embracing what my assignment was, not trying to be this motivational speaker. It was me embracing my assignment. So the moment I embraced it, God started opening up doors where ET and other people like, yo, I need you to come and speak for me, speak on this. And it was always in the area of my assignment because I embraced it. And that's the thing that people need to do, man, is embrace their assignment.
That's good. That's good. And not only embracing the assignment, but being willing to invest in themselves.
Man, bro, you don't want to know how much I invested. I look now, like how many people go through it. I'm like, yo, you was only in there for how many? Oh, all right. But that's, again, that was for me, right? That was mine. It was because of what God was taking me through, bro. Like nobody else. There's other people who went through 3 months, 4 months, maybe 5 months. Bro, I was in there for 9 months.
I hear the most.
Yeah.
Come on. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
9 months. And this was all like, this was when all hell was breaking loose in my life. But the Lord was teaching me how to fight and build at the same time. Wow. And a lot of people don't want to do that. They either want to just build without the fight. But I had to learn how to fight and build at the same time, especially if you're going to live within purpose. You're going to have to know how to fight and build, bro, because there's winter seasons.
And that's it. He talking your language, Tyrus, because there's so many people that approach us and say, can you be my accountability partner? Can you can you help me build what I need in my life for free? And so like, it always makes me think about, like, you want this big, beautiful house, concrete costs, framing costs, wood costs, drywall costs, shingles costs. Like all of this stuff costs, but it's like you literally saying, can you help me build the most important house for free?
Okay, bingo. And I just need to pick your brain for a few minutes and just help me get along. And I really can't afford to pay anything, but I'm gonna charge the people that I'm trying to help $10,000 because I want 50K months, but I don't want to invest in myself. And so we can beat that horse all the way down because it's an epidemic.
This is I don't even trip no more, man. You know, I meet with, like, this is just something I do, right? Every year since I've been out of ETA, doing the stuff, every year I meet with ET in the first month and I meet with him in the fourth quarter. Strategize for my new year, strategize for the upcoming year. And I pay him every single time. It's without a question. I'm like, yo, how much? Without a question. Because how can I ask you to do something and I don't do it?
Right. Yep.
In my community that I work with people, I'm like, listen, you're gonna get more value than what you were even paying. But I need you to pay. And I'm not gonna argue. I'm not gonna trip. Why? Because I don't chase the money. I chase the assignment. So if you don't want it, it's cool. I promise you, it's cool. I just stay focused on the assignment. And it's hard for people to do that because they keep looking at what other people have. That's where you have to stop, because your cost is going to be different than somebody else's cost. A few years ago, I bought a Louis Vuitton bag and I was going out of town. I was like, yo, I'm about to, all excited and happy to rock it. And my daughter was like, that's a Fooey. And I was like, what? You trying to play me out? She's like, that ain't no real Louis. It's a Fooey. Other people wouldn't have known. I paid $50 for it in New York. It's just like, yo, you want what other people have, but you're not really willing to pay the price.
Yeah. That's good.
So I still have it, but now I use it as a prop. I use it as a prop when I speak. Because we really want what that look like. But if you can't afford it, bro, you shouldn't go down that path.
And, and we got to get to the other piece. but this piece is so powerful because even for myself, when I first, got introduced to E.T., Les Brown, John Maxwell, I wanted to be like them. I wanted to have the same power, conviction. Even T.D. Jakes, same power, but they took a journey to get that.
Oh, yes, they did.
From what they went through, and that wasn't my assignment.
Yeah, buddy.
My mission, my purpose, it wasn't my path. And so, do I want to be homeless? Do I want to eat out of trash cans? Do I want to be born in an abandoned building? Do I want all of those things in order to say, hey, here's my story?
Nope.
It's not for me. And even if I said, yes, I want it, did God purpose that for me? And am I equipped to even get through it?
Yep. You equipped for yours, but you ain't equipped for theirs.
And so if you're listening, and we're about to segue, but if you're listening, don't look at what other people have and want it. Find what your assignment is, because that's what you're equipped to handle and make it through. A lot of people try things and they say, well, I failed, or I had such a tough time. Revisit what you try and make sure that is in your lane and not somebody else's.
Yep.
And I want to segue right now, Shon, because this was near and dear to both Corey and I, and you've mentioned it as well. And what kind of prompted this, outside of both of us having our own issues with our fathers, I was on a men's call, and a lot of men on the call, many of them older than myself, 50, some were in their 60s, late 40s. And the conversation was around dads.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was surprised at was you have older men.
Come on, bro.
Still shedding tears.
Let's go, bro.
Wanting a relationship that they never had. Whether it was, I never knew my dad walked out, my dad passed away at a young age, whatever situation it was, you had elder men that in my, mind would be like, okay, you got over that, but haven't. And so when I look at what you're doing with InvolvedDad, tell us about the birth of that. Where did that come from? The mission, and let's start to talk about the purpose, mission, and your passion behind it.
Yeah. Again, man, we create strong families through fatherhood engagement, right? That's what we do. And when you talk about the birth of it, the conception of it and the beginning and everything was when I was working in the prison. Like, I was doing the work. I wrote my first book while I was working at the prison. It was man to man, created a workbook, the whole nine. But I was like, man, I need to do something in the community, right? Like, before they get to prison. And went on a vacation with my children and my wife, and I got out the pool and was heading back to the hotel room. And on my way back, man, Holy Spirit spoke to me and was like, when you get inside pen and paper, I'm about to download these ideas, man. And just went back. I was just going back just for a quick second, man. On my way back, just started writing, and InvolvedDad was birthed. Gave me the name InvolvedDad and told me what it was going to be about, right? Because I was looking at how my children were so excited to have their father with them on vacation. And I was like, man. And I was looking at so many men, like my father was in the home, but he wasn't involved. Right. You know, and I've forgiven my father. We have a dope relationship now. We've, was very difficult early on, but we have a really good relationship now, man. But he wasn't involved. And that's where it was birthed. Like the idea behind it is the teaching men how to be involved, because it's one thing to be in the crib, but you can be in the crib but not be present. Right. So that was huge for me. And so when I got the idea and, just started in the community, this is the crazy thing about it, man. It's like people like, what do I do? How do I do it, bro? It was just me. I called two of my boys like, man, I'm starting this, this organization. Don't know how it's going to be. I know they say you need a board. Will you guys be on board with me? And they said, yep. And what I did, man, I went to social media and just started talking about fatherhood and what, fatherhood is like in the whole nine. And the local organization, man, the health department saw my post and was like, reached out to me, asked if they could have a meeting. They had just got some funding to support fathers in the community. They said, we don't know anybody who work with dads. Will your organization help me? Brother, we wasn't even an organization yet. It was just me. I said, yes, we can help you.
Beautiful.
And that's where I got my first contract, bro, with them. And out of that, I discovered and found out what was the plight of men, not black men, even though that's a challenge. Yeah. But men, fatherlessness is a human issue. It's not a black issue. It's not a white issue. It's a human problem. But going through those groups, man, seeing men 30, 40, 50, 60 years of age, man, crying and wailing for their fathers and asking for forgiveness because they, wasn't the dads that they thought they should have been to their children. Right. So it was out of that, man, me hearing all of the issues, man, where I said, listen, I'm going all out and I'm going all in, man. And I tell you the last story before we segue into it a little bit more is that we fast forward. My wife went back to school to get her master's. And this is the crazy thing. Like I told you, the first part, I just put it on social media, man, and somebody found me. The second part, we wasn't receiving any funding. I was just talking to men and inspiring them. We was just meeting at a coffee shop, but I didn't have resources to help them. All I had was my mouth. But I'm like, God, we need to have resources where we can help them with their challenges. My wife went back to get her master's, man, and on one of her last projects before she graduated, she had to write a grant. It could have been fictitious, anything. And she came to me. She was like, listen, if we wanted to write a grant, what would you want? What would you do? And we just started talking. And my wife helped craft this thing. And it was this fictitious thing. I never even thought about it. And a local funder put out a call for new proposals. And we submitted that proposal, man. That was a class project, bro. And we got our first $75,000 grant received. So we was able to start providing services to men in the Genesee County area, helping them with child support, helping them with parenting education, getting them lawyers so they can get parenting time orders, and just helping them with all of those gap services that other agencies can't provide, that's provided to moms but not provided to men. And other organizations came on, man, and start providing the services to where we were able to help men with getting their new apartment and getting their cars fixed and getting their driver's license and all types of stuff, man. But we help men with their child support. They may be behind. We got a relationship with the friend of the court where they got a warrant for their arrest. They removed the warrant. So that way, as long as they're in my program, man. So yeah, man, I know I said a whole lot there.
Man,
But
sheesh, a whole lot. I mean, it's so much to unpack, and I just got to go back. I got to go back because I think one, knowledge is key. Understanding and recognizing and just bringing a level of awareness to what you're saying is very key. So take us back and explain to us in your situation, what does it mean? And I know it sounds trivial, but I guarantee you there are men listening that may not know. What does it necessarily mean to be in the house but not present? And I didn't have this because my dad was not my mom and my dad weren't together, and then he went to prison. So I didn't have him in the house to even
yep,
understand what it could have been. So talk to
yep.
me about being in the house but still not being present.
Yeah, it's just as painful, right? Because you can be in the house, man, just because you're there, like it's cool, but it's just as painful because you can be a present absentee father, right? So statistics show that when fathers are not involved or in the home, children are at a greater risk to experience early to be promiscuous, right? Increased chances to battle suicide. Definitely poverty increases, right? Because you have one income coming in, and a lot of times the dads are not paying child support, right? Because if they're not in the home, and depending on how much money they're making, they can only take so much, from them, right? And then also, just criminal activity and not being, they graduate at a lower level, and people may say like, man, that can't be true, but it is. Statistics show when you go to prison and you talk to a lot of those men, white or black, bruh, most of them would tell you that their father, they did not have access to a positive male role model, or their dad wasn't there, right, to bring stability. I look at what my daughter, she's 17, and she's gone through so many challenges as a kid, just like we all have. But it's been dope because I've been able to give her a father's perspective, especially when it comes to dating other boys, right? Like my daughter gets very transparent, very open, and shares some very, very, you know, open, let's just call it open things that most dads would cringe. Right. But we've established a relationship where she's just like, okay, I trust my dad. He's not going to throw it back up in my face. But by me being present, I'm able to help her walk through that process to give her that male's perspective. And I give my children the advantage, right? Because they don't have to, that's one less thing that they have to worry about of identity, of needing another male to fill that void. But because I'm present, it increases my chances. Now, a dad may be saying, well, listen, it didn't work out between me and his mom. I get it, but that still doesn't mean that you can't be involved. One of the dopest dads I've ever met was a gentleman by the name of Prince, and he was incarcerated. But this brother was so involved in his children's lives through prison. He wrote them every week. He called them every day. He did all that he can do in the prison and sent mostly all his money home to assist with his children. He was letting them know that, yeah, I made a mistake, but I'm still here. I'm still present. I'm going to be present as much as I can. So you don't have to be in the house to be present. I'll stop there.
Yeah,
man, that's it. That's it, right? Look, Tyrus, I got a few things I got to touch on though.
Touch them.
So, and you said the exact same thing my mom and I were talking about the other day. Personally, and again, Tyrus, we talked about the cherry picking community where they just take out it conveniently what you said and twist it into something else. But you said exactly what I wanted to say. I firmly believe, especially meeting women like meeting, because you're talking about, I'm trying to meet the woman that I'm going to marry, right? It sounds like the relationship you have with your daughter, she is going to be available and communicative with whatever man she decides to be with, right?
Yep.
And the conversation my mom and I were having was, I run into so many women past whatever that it's like they were looking for me to be the dad. I'm not your daddy.
Yep.
And so there's a certain level of I'm with you, I'm your guy, I protect, I provide. And yes, we're not married, but in my opinion, at least for all the fellas listening, if you are engaged in a relationship, you're building to get to that point. So you might as well just show that you can do it already, right? But the conversation was, there's too many women out here, obviously with no dads, that they're looking for the father figure in their spouse.
Absolutely.
And that's not it.
Absolutely.
That's not it. But let me bring it back, because I want to really touch on the importance of the father being in the household. So what really changed my perspective, so my dad, and I'll say this, shout out to him, because I don't know if he's listening to this, but he decided to become conveniently placed in my life. So my senior year in high school comes up, I get interviewed by the news. They're like, "Oh, big man on campus." And he's like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" And I think he was living in Tennessee or something at the time, moving back to Louisiana or something. But it was just really convenient to me all the time that it was just like, "Oh, you popped up now." But the thing was, I watched the documentary on Ray Lewis, and he said, I didn't know who my dad was, but he said, and this is something you touched on also, Tyrus, I didn't know who my dad was, but I see all these other people, and I had friends the same. They don't even know who this guy is. And I said, how selfish would it be for me to not allow him to be in my life? Put it in his hands. If you want to be there, be there. If you don't want to be there, hey, I at least gave you a chance. And so I decided to take the step. I said, you know what? Hey, we had a talk. I'm probably 16, 17 years old at the time. We had a talk. I said, look, I really want you to be here, but what you haven't shown me that you want to be here. And so our relationship progressed from there. But it's a lot of people, and I can even talk about my brother, for example. He had went through more with my dad than I had gone through.
Yep.
And he's like, "Oh, I'm good.
Straight. I'm straight, bro.
Don't need it." So can you talk to us a little bit as far as a father stepping in and saying, you know what, your child probably does want a relationship with you. How do you step out? How do you, I guess, suck up your pride, your ego, and then be like, look, I'm really trying to be here? Because I think there's a lot of dads listening, and there's a lot of fathers that I know that either they don't get visitation rights or they're just on child support, and their child may be saying, well, you don't want to be in my life. You haven't shown it.
Yeah.
How does that dad step forward and say, I really want to be here.
Yep.
How do I suck that pride up?
Yeah. The first thing, man, you have to realize, bro, it ain't about you. Right. That's the thing. It's not about you. It's about your child. Right. Yeah. I mean, the thing about it is that you made a decision to not be there. I don't care if the mom, is wilding out, bruh. But you still made a decision not to be there, because you can still write letters. I don't care if she rip them up. You can still call or text. I don't care if they don't answer. If you really want to get that relationship, your child will eventually find out or discover it. They will know if you are consistent. Now, again, it's not about you. So you have to move how you feel out the way. And that's a lot of times why men leave, because it's about them. Because they say, I'm tired of it. She's treating me this way. And listen, and she may be pissed because you got a new woman, right? She may be pissed. But this is the thing, what I tell some of my dads, man, through the program, man. I learned this from one of my facilitators. We almost made a commitment to her that we were going to be there. When you laid down with her, you made a commitment. And when you are not there, you betrayed her. So she hurt. So the only power that she has is to use that child as a weapon. Hurt people hurt people. So she's saying the only way that I can get back at you and hurt you is by keeping your child away. She doesn't know the end result of the father not being present. She doesn't know how her child is going to turn out. She doesn't really know the statistics, but what she does know is that I'm going to be the best mother that I know to be, and I'm going to make sure that they have everything they need. They're going to be successful. But she doesn't know that that child is going to eventually cry out for a father's presence. Right? But for starters, man, those dads, you have to know that it's not about you, and your child needs you more than anything else. And you have to get healed yourself, man. Because especially if you didn't have your father, you can't neglect that part of it. And that's what happens. A lot of us try to neglect the part that we're still hurting of our father issues, and we're just trying to be something that we don't know how to be. You don't know how to be a father, bro. So get with people.
And that's pure truth right there, because even for myself, when I became a father, I was just like, man, I don't I don't know if I know what I'm doing. I just got to build it as I go.
Yes.
And remember my uncles and my great uncles that had kids that were there, and just try to figure, okay, what is the proper relationship?
Yes.
All I knew is I want to be there. I got to be there, because no matter how much my mom did, she could never be my dad.
Come on, bro.
And she even recognized that. My mom never spoke ill of my dad. She always encouraged that we had a relationship. And when I was growing up, when he got out of prison, we didn't really talk. I went in the military. I became a man. I had my own kids. And then that's when I said, you know what? I want my kids to have a relationship with their grandfather. And I still wanted it. I wanted the relationship. And to be honest, Shon, like, once me and my dad started talking and really building that relationship, he passed away from cancer about 3 years later at 49. I still, to this day,
come on, bro,
when I get around certain men that are especially older than me, I look at them as more of a father figure than a friend.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking at me as a friend, as someone in the circle, but I'm looking at them as a father, because it's something that I wasn't able to have, and I didn't feel like I got the feel of it. He passed away. We were on great terms, but we had so much to do.
Yep.
We had so many plans.
Yep.
We were going to rebuild, and that opportunity just was taken away from us because it was his time. And what I like to tell men and young men and even older men I come in contact with that have these relationship problems, if your father's still alive, try to mend it.
Yep.
At least do your part. At least have the conversation. If they say no, you did what you could do.
Yeah.
And I love what you said. You got to get around men that are showing that example, so you can learn. Because I'm like, should I do this? Should I do that? Am I smothering them? Am I responding the right way? Now I have to look at my circle of men that's been married 30, 40 years, 20 years, and they have kids that are my age.
Yep.
How did that relationship work, and how can I glean from it? So mentorship is a huge part of that. And your program provides that, if I'm right, for those men who may not have that inner circle or that group of people that they can go look at for the example.
Yeah, man. You know, and the thing about it, man, most of my men, they come in, bro, like, you know, because we have informational, we have them come in, and a lot of times they'll receive a letter from the friend of the court. So they like, yo, is this joker? They trying to set me up? Because back in the day, here locally, they would send out letters for men to come to these meetings, and you come here, you're going to get a free TV or this, that, and you get there and they lock you up.
Wow.
Right. So it was a setup. So there's a lot of distrust. So here I come in as an organization with the friend of the court. They like, all right, you say you're going to help. I've had it, man, where people will come in, they would send their girls in to get the information and then make sure that it is legit. And then the dudes will come in, or they give me all the wrong information just in case.
Yeah.
But until they started seeing like warrants really being removed, seeing us really helping them with lawyers and restoring families, because we started out just helping the fathers and neglecting the mother part, right? Because we just helping these dads, but we wasn't helping the moms, because the mothers, even to their defense, they like, listen, I've been raising this child for the last 10 years and this joker wasn't nowhere to be found. And now you want him to come in and be Mr. Super Dad, not to realize that. And even thinking about those relationships that was destroyed, this man might have been whopping her all over her head. And so here I am asking her to allow him to come back into their lives when she finally got the strength to leave. So I had to start thinking of those things and bringing additional resources to get my men help who have a history of domestic violence, right? I have, some caseworkers who work with the moms, like, okay, what are the challenges? What are the barriers? Like, what are we working with? Right. So how can we help you while we help him? Right. We don't want y'all to be under the same roof if things is not working out right. Right. So our agency, man, we help fathers, man. When we talk about helping them, we talking about helping the whole holistic dynamic. That's why we say we strengthen families, and we do it through fatherhood engagement, because at the end of the day, who we're trying to impact is the child, but we do it through fatherhood services.
Good. And I know that states across the country are lacking that. And like
Absolutely,
you said, even in your state, you were the only one offering this at the time. And so they came to you. And it's just, I would say that men are forgotten.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely.
Emotional wise, health wise, mental health wise, forgotten.
Yeah.
And change
big
narrative.
Yep.
Yeah, because we big and strong. Changing that narrative is probably the hardest piece of work that's cut out for us.
Absolutely.
To understand that there is first a need, and then how do we recover and repair damage that's been done over a long period of time.
Yep.
And so, Corey, you got anything before I hit Shon with just a couple of questions?
No, I think that's it. However, I think after all this, Shon, if you don't have a shirt that says men have feelings too, I think it needs to come out. Because we do. And I think
we do, man. We do, bro. We do, man.
It's just people look at us and actually I was having a conversation with my dad the other day, and he was like, man, when we gonna have some grandbabies? And I was like, can you ask me if I'm happy? Can you ask me if I'm with the person that I want to have the kids with? Or should I just have anybody? Right. Like I should just have them now. Like, okay. But to be honest with you, as a man, a lot of these questions and I know what happens with women too, when they, the parents are like, man, when the grandbaby's gonna come, or like when you getting married, baby, and all that other stuff. And it's like, yo, you never ask the question of, are you happy? Is this the person you want to be with? Yep. Like, are you sufficient in life? Are you surviving? Because we always look at these outputs on these outcomes, and we never check on the man and say, okay, you have all these things going around you, and your bills are pressing you, and you're failing in relationships right now, and maybe you don't know how to regulate your emotions. But are you ever gonna do this real quick?
Yep.
So if you don't have a shirt that men have feelings too,
I'm writing that down right now. I'll give you some proceeds too, bro.
Hey, let's go.
Let's go. So, Shon, we're up at our hour. I don't want to hold your time. I want to definitely be respectful of your time, but some things to leave us with, because even with these type of conversations, we give a lot of information, a lot of knowledge, but we also want to give people practical tips or things that they can begin to apply immediately to their lives. Yeah. So for men that want to reestablish, or for even women who want men, their children's father in their lives, maybe they're in prison, maybe they're on child support, your top 3 things that come to you, what are those things, and how can men begin to repair or start moving in a different direction on those top 3 issues that you deal with the most?
Yeah, the biggest one, my biggest issue is the co-parenting. That's the biggest issue, the co-parenting, or, some I learned from, can't think of my girl now. Man, I can't think of her name, but parallel parenting, right? That's the biggest thing, right? So my thing is, man, is learn how to co-parent, right? Get you some mentors, get you some people to help you with this co-parenting piece. Like that's the hardest piece, right? That's the hardest piece. So one of the things, man, is that you have to find a way to communicate with your child's mom. You have to have those difficult conversations, right? Even, and this is one thing that I got to tell my brothers, man, if you're trying to co-parent, bro, don't try to sleep with her. Right, like that makes it even more confusing and makes it milky. Stop trying to sleep with her when you're doing this co-parenting thing. Keep it clean. Keep those lines drawn. Right, so that's what we need. We need that. That's the biggest thing, right? No sleeping, with the ex. Right. My other thing, man, is that you have to establish a relationship with your child by any means necessary, right? You don't have to, because this is one of the things that dads have a struggle with when they are the non-custodial dad, when you get the child every other weekend or whatever the case. What happens a lot of times, men have a hard time with that because they want to be the fun dad. They don't want to discipline. They want to always go to McDonald's or somewhere to make it fun. No. Don't perform. Your child just want you to be authentic, right? So just be there. You don't have to always have, and don't put yourself under pressure like you have to go spend all this money and buy him stuff every time you're with him. No, create moments, create memories. Be creative with creating new memories and moments, because your children will remember moments when y'all went outside and played in the snow and you fell. Or when y'all build a snowman and it looked horrible, right? They will remember those moments, not what you bought them. I bought my kids a lot of stuff, bro, throughout the years. But what we talk about is not what I bought them. They talk about those memories and those moments that we had together, right? So creating memories and moments. Don't try to be, don't feel like you have to perform every time you're around your child. My last point would be, from a legal standpoint, man, is to know your rights, right? Know your rights, man. Know the difference between a parenting order and child support. A lot of times men believe because they don't pay child support or they behind that the mother can keep you away from your child. A parenting time order and a child support order, two different things. Just because you don't pay doesn't mean that you cannot pick your child up when you are required to. Now, listen, I'm not telling you not to pay child support, because you need to, because that money, I don't care if mom get her hair done with it. It doesn't matter. What's important is that you are putting money in the house. She's taking care of that child all the time when you're not there, right? So it doesn't matter if she's using her hair. She want to get her hair done. But what about the other things that she's doing when you're not present, right? So I ain't tripping, not kicking anybody back in, but I just need, a lot of times that prevent fathers from wanting to pay child support or being involved because they're worrying about what mom is doing, especially if the child is not in a situation where it's detrimental and it's, and there's a whole lot of issues. That's a whole nother thing. But my thing is, I need you to know your rights so that way you can continue to have access to your child. And if you don't know your rights, you can go down to your local legal services. And most states or cities have a free legal nonprofit organization, legal services that will help you and give you information on what your rights are as it relates to connecting with your children. And my last point in closing, to all the moms that are out there, do not use your child as a weapon. Do not use your child as a weapon, because who suffers in the end? Yeah, you getting back at the man now. You getting back at him. You're doing a great job. Yes, he's hurting and he's having a hard time, but who suffers the longest is that child. Because that child is going to grow up to be somebody like myself or somebody else, where it took me all of these years to get healthy and whole because I had these fatherhood issues. You don't want your child to suffer behind that. So don't use your child as a weapon.
Facts. That is so true.
Man.
Not only will it be detrimental to the child, if they ever find out, it's going to add a layer of resentment against the mom. And I've seen relationships break down in that way as well, when that child finds out that, hey, my dad was trying to do X, Y, and Z, and you keep him from me.
All them years come tumbling down.
Exactly. So, Shon, we definitely appreciate you for joining us. How can they follow you? How can they reach out? How can they partner with InvolvedDad?
Yeah, if they don't mind, man, they could go to the website. It just like what it's called. It's no S in it, and it's 2 D's in the middle. InvolvedDad. So InvolvedDad.org, one word. And then if they want to rock out with me, I'm on all of the social media platforms under my name, Shon Hart. But if they want to follow InvolvedDad, get involved with InvolvedDad, mentor father, want to donate, help out with the cause, go to InvolvedDad.org and yeah, man, and get connected.
Beautiful.
And I'm being the involved dad now. When I get off here, I'm going to my daughter. She has a soccer game tonight. So that's where I'm headed to now.
Love it. Love it. Corey, any last words before we close?
No, I'm good. I think Shon did everything that I needed him to do.
Absolutely.
Blesses, man. Appreciate you, brothers, man.
Oh, yeah. We definitely have to get that t-shirt rocking. We got some things together. Make sure we're partnering, supporting one another in this, and have a great time with your daughter, Shon. We appreciate you again, brother.
You got it, man.
Thank you for watching out there. You have been with us another episode of The Empowerment Platform, where our mission is to empower you to reach your goals. We'll see you next time.